First Glance with Jody Vance. Glad to have you along here on yet another adventure in learning about those companies that you might be able to get into on the ground floor and grow with, that long-term opportunity, right? The ones that are usually only available to the fancy suit and pocket square set. Nothing wrong with fancy suits and pocket squares, don't get me wrong, but trying to open this up to say, you know what, your hard-earned dollar, you want to spend it on somebody you know, something that you're personally and heartfelt invested in, as well as putting your hard-earned dollars down to invest in. And today's introduction is with Karim Rayani, who is the CEO of Falcon Gold. And welcome, Karim. So good to talk with you, first and foremost. But Falcon Gold, and doing some research on you, it fits into one of the categories that I'm seeing more and more on First Glance with Jody Vance. People looking to invest closer to home, to invest in Canadian companies and Canadian entrepreneurs, and to really keep our dollars closer to home. And Falcon Gold, with the stock symbol of FG.V on the Toronto Venture Exchange, is one to look at. I just want to get a little sort of backstory on the company and where the properties are and what your missions are. So let's start with first who you are. How did you get involved in Falcon Gold, and sort of why?
So I've been involved in the company for about 4 years. I was a passive shareholder. Going back, I stepped in as CEO about 2 years ago. Prior to that, I owned 10% of the issued outstanding shares. I didn't really like where the company was headed. Sat down with management, worked out a deal, and eventually took over the company within a short couple months. What attracted me to Falcon was the company had incredible projects. However, they were never really able to move forward on the financing side. And that's really what my background is in financing early stage companies. So, I stepped in as CEO, financed the company, kind of got it out of the red. It's been trading relatively strong as of recently, but if you look at the share price over the last year, with the price of gold, this is where opportunities come on advanced stage projects where there's an opportunity to buy these companies at 40, 50, 60% of where they were trading at a year ago.
Right. So this is an opportunity on many levels for you, is what you saw and where you wanted to take it. So give us an idea. You mentioned the management meeting that you had when you stepped in as CEO. What is your vision for Falcon Gold?
Okay, so what differentiates Falcon, especially at our market cap of 10, 11, 12 million, is we have an asset in Canada, in Ontario, in a town called Atikokan, which is just 160 kilometers west of Thunder Bay. It's attached on to Agnico Eagle's Hammond Reef deposit, which is 4.6 million ounces.
Wow.
And we have a similar geology structure, which is right tied on. Since coming on, we've expanded the ground. We're the largest land holder surrounding their deposit, which is quite significant. But also, we have 50,000 meters of historic drilling. So when people are buying Falcon, they're not buying, some greenfields project. What they're really buying into is a management team that has a lot of experience financing, putting companies' projects into production. One of my partners is ex-Rio Tinto. Worked with them for 20 years in the capital division projects. So really, the big picture for Falcon, without going into too much detail, boring your viewers, is we have a 230,000 ounce historic resource grading 10 grams. That was the number one thing that attracted me to it. Is what I saw is this project had never really been tested down to depth.
Right.
So our first two programs were successful in extending the strike length to a new zone. Also, we outstepped 50 meters, went down at a 45-degree angle, and we're adding about a meter and a half of width. So if we have 200,000 meters near surface, and now we've gone down to 200 meters, and we're the deposit's getting richer and richer and wider. This is kind of it's elephant country, and we're surrounded by 5 multi-million ounce deposits. Agnico being the biggest, it's one of the larger deposits in Canada. So The end goal is to eventually package this up and sell it to a company like theirs. They have a mill. They're going to need feed for that deposit. So we're essentially just drilling away, working towards a new 43101 calculation. For every hole that we drill, we're doing between 2,000 and 5,000 ounces towards the indicated category.
Yeah.
500,000 ounces doesn't really get anyone overly excited on the institutional level, but with the way this is looking, we could be sitting on a multi-million ounce target, and that's why I'm here.
It's fascinating. And when you give the parameters of because I'm no expert on this, but even in you telling your story, it piques the question of, obviously, the assumption being with the hits that you're getting and the proximity to clear winners, for lack of a better term. I mean, you're positioned extremely well. So let's get to the fundraising that has been done in the last week. You were approved for Toronto Venture Exchange to proceed with a warrant incentive program.
Yeah, so what that is it rewards the existing shareholder base. Most of our float is owned by about maybe a dozen people.
Right.
I'm the largest shareholder. I've been personally funding the company for the most part over the last 2 years. I've been diluted down a little bit, but I still own over 10%. So the existing shareholders, if they write a check, take down their existing warrant, they get a new warrant at 18 cents for an additional year. So it's just a way to keep the shareholder base, within our core, and keep it, from being diluted down.
Right. When you talk about the location of this particular property, you said it was near Thunder Bay, right?
Correct.
So forgive my novice question, how does winter impact or affect the ability to continue with these projects? We talk about where the market is right now, and we're sitting here on, if people might be watching this on any day, but it is literally the fall equinox. Right. Things will get cold and frozen pretty quick in that area. Does it ebb and flow there, or does it impact at all?
Surprisingly, it is easier to drill in the winter than it is in the summer. And
why I said I'm a novice, Karim. That's why I said novice question.
It's a lot of the projects in the Red Lake camp, which were just outside Red Lake, it's winter. They're drilling over water. When it gets wet, it gets very marshy, and the drills, aren't able to function. So when it's cold, things can go through ice a lot easier than they can through mud.
Fascinating. That is so cool. Now, Falcon Gold, again, FG.V on the venture. It's more than just one property, though. You got a number of most are in Canada, though. You do have one international.
Most are in Canada. We recently made a number of acquisitions in Newfoundland. I think most of your viewers would be familiar with a company called Newfound Gold. So Newfound Gold is arguably one of the biggest discoveries, or the potential of the biggest discoveries. They've been hitting 100 grams, 200 grams, up to 450 grams over some pretty decent intercepts. Great Bear in Ontario did the exact same thing, started a staking frenzy. The difference I see with Newfoundland versus Red Lake is you're seeing numerous companies starting to hit fantastic numbers. Labrador Gold, Hope Brook, which is owned by First Mining, where they just optioned that to Big Ridge. There's at least 3-4 companies off the top of my head that are hitting between 50 and 100 grams.
Yeah.
So we recognize fairly early that this is where we should be. I do things a little differently. I'll go and study the structures. I won't pay an exorbitant amount for a property, but I'll go and look at why a project is in a certain area, it was passed by, overlooked, and then we'll do the due diligence. So we've staked a significant amount of land in 3 of the biggest, or the most high-profile targets tied onto large structures. So Queensway's Newfound Gold, it was trading 50, 60 cents last year, hit a high of $13.
Wow.
So we've got a project, the Great Burnt, again, high-grade zone. It's a world-class district. We've got ground tied onto First Mining, which is a $300 million market cap company. We're tied on right next to them in Benton and Soquimon. So we're really just getting started in Newfoundland. We've had a number of joint venture offers. I'm sitting tight. We're just going to raise some money, do an airborne magnetic survey on about 60%. The other 40% has already been worked by government mag. So we just saved ourselves about $200,000 there. And with our deals, because there's no hefty property payments, we're actually able to go in there and do the work right away. These other companies have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in commitments. The deals never get worked.
Right.
I work the other way. I'll go and find an interesting structure, looks good, and I'll go and put $500,000, $1 million the first 6 months.
Right.
Test it out.
Smart money. Get it done. Because you're sitting on it. It's costing you money just to do nothing. Interesting. What is your background, Karim, when it comes to like the whys and hows of this? You told us why Falcon Gold, but what's your background so people can get to know the CEO behind this?
My background is finance. I was really on the other side, corporate development, putting the deals together.
Yeah.
Ended up, just accumulating a big position in Falcon, and I realized there was no one really qualified to run the deal, especially was I had a very sizable investment in it. I kind of just took the responsibility on, and here I am.
Here you are.
3 years later. So. The one thing of significance to note is the ground we have at Hope Brook. The first lithium discovery in Newfoundland is a kilometer away from our ground.
Really?
So, our business model has proven to work. And I think a lot of people are starting to notice. If you look at our volume over the last 2 days, 3 days, it's been trading over 1 million shares a day.
Wow.
And at 10, between 10 and 12 cents, compared to where we were a year ago at 25, the 200 moving day average is definitely a lot higher.
Well, Karim, I look forward to watching the trajectory. It's always good to speak with somebody who is right in my backyard here. Your headquarters in North Vancouver?
The office has just moved to downtown.
Just moved to downtown Vancouver. So Vancouver operation, again, Falcon Gold, FG.V on the Toronto Venture Exchange. How do people find out more if they're looking to put their money into this and wanting to help on the fundraising side? Where do they find out more? What's your website?
My email is in all the press releases. Telephone number is on the website. Feel free to call, email the company, info@falcongold.ca. Website, www.falcongold.ca, and I'll be happy to get back to you fairly quickly. I do most of the calls myself.
Awesome. I love the cut of your jib and the way that you come at this. You're very to the point and frank. This is what I'm doing. Here's why. Here's what we want to do. Here's where we're headed. So make sure you come back, give us updates, regular updates here on First Glance so that our investors can keep up with Falcon Gold. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jody.